accountability and statewide safety initiatives, Semi, as a candidate for the most powerful position in our state, you have emphasized the critical need for holding judges, it's kind of awkward, right? Judges and prosecutors accountable to ensure community safety. Can you elaborate on the specific mechanisms you would implement to enhance accountability and oversight in the judicial and prosecutorial offices, such as the Judicial Watch Performance Report?
Yeah, no, thank you. So we actually put out our law and order platform a year ago. So while the other candidates are fighting around their new platforms now, we've been out there with solutions for a while. And so our Judicial Watch is simply this. These are elected positions, and our citizens need to know who they're voting for. When you have this revolving door that is catch and release, or you're not even prosecuting or bringing accountability to these habitual criminals who are compromising our public safety, well then you need to be held accountable. And so if you're going back up for office and you're continuing to perform your duties that are causing a compromise to our public safety, well then we're going to rate you. And we're going to say if you're causing a compromise to public safety, then your rating is going to go down. So when you come back for election, people are going to remember that. And they're going to say, well, we are not going to put you back into office because we remember how you released this criminal who murdered this person, or you caught and released, or you minimized their bail. For example, we lost one of our state troopers, an illegal immigrant, right? Trooper Gad. Within 1 year of him graduating, he was murdered by an illegal immigrant, again, drunk driving, and that person shouldn't have even been here. And then the judge reduced his bail. This is an offense to not only our judicial system, to his family. And his family happen to be close friends of mine, but it doesn't matter. It's all of our citizens who are at risk. So no, that's just one example. We don't have enough public defenders. And so why are we not talking about the fact that you cannot prosecute a case if you do not have the public defenders to also defend those criminals? And so now cases are being dismissed. Article RCW 483.06.10 says the governor can actually appoint the Attorney General's office to provide support for county prosecutors. So instead of them catching and releasing because they don't have enough help, well then that's the state government help them start prosecuting criminals. And so instead of putting more career politicians in office, why not put a governor who's a career American who will actually have a backbone to support public safety and actually do something about it because he actually knows the law and the Constitution, which according to Article 1, Section 2 of our Constitution says the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. I will use it as my foundation of governance.
A lot of great answers tonight. Thank you. Okay, so my next question here is for Semi Bird on the comprehensive support for law enforcement and crime reduction. Okay. So Semi, in your run for governor, you have outlined an ambitious plan to support law enforcement, including reinstatement of key laws, recruitment initiatives, and enhanced state logistical support. What specific steps will you take to implement these strategies, such as the Universal Reciprocity Program and high school recruitment pipelines, to ensure a robust law enforcement presence? Furthermore, how do you intend to integrate these efforts with your broader crime reduction strategies, including targeting drug traffickers, human traffickers, and criminal organizations to foster a safer environment for all Washingtonians?
That just sounds like fun. Thank you. No, I mean, absolutely. Where to start? The pipeline from schools. We have schools resource officers. So those are our first mentors from middle school. So children in all communities see that law enforcement are our friends. They're something people to look up to want to follow in those footsteps. And that's where the recruiting starts. And then the Explore programs that have been abandoned from years ago, where young people at an early age are already thinking about being in the police departments or being in the sheriff's departments or wanting to pursue a career. And so that's where the pipeline starts. The reason why this is important is because Washington State is last on having enough law enforcement officers. We are the lowest, we have the lowest number of law enforcement officers of any state in the nation. And that is a shame. And then we have a recruiting problem because no one wants to be a law enforcement officer because of the way this environment is. This governor, this administration treats law enforcement professionals like they're third-class citizens. You know, we have these mandates and these vaccinations, and we were letting law enforcement officers go. Either you get the stab or the jab or you're out of a job, and that's nonsense. So one of the things I'm going to do is give back our state police officers, our state patrol, their jobs back. If you lost your job, you get your review, you get your job back. It goes to work. And then we're going to start with the resolution to pledge our support and our love for those men and women in law enforcement so they know categorically we have your back. You're not going to worry about losing your life or your livelihood or your family because of that. So there's that pipeline, recruiting, retention, reciprocity, simply saying, if you want to come to Washington State and have that licensure as a peace officer in Texas or any other state, we're going to streamline that process. And we already have it started right now. We did it with nursing. We need to do it with mental health professionals. We need to do it with drug treatment professionals. And so there's that. Human trafficking, as Pete says, you have Homeland Security Investigation Bureau is the primary agency that works with human trafficking. Well, I've worked in targeting narco-terrorists, human trafficking. It's all crime syndicates, cartels. We have, am I speaking fast? We have 3 cartels operating in Washington State. We have the Sinaloa cartel operating in northeastern Washington. We have the Jalisco New Generation cartel operating right here in southwestern Washington. We have the Beltran-Lleva cartel operating in northwestern Washington. And so we need to understand how to target them. And I know how to do that because I work with Joint Interagency Task Force. I've already said in my program, we're going to form a Joint Interagency Task Force, a fusion center of intelligence to target these individuals. I know how to do it from the technology, analyst Lopez, Paladin, nobody. I've targeted these people, going after their money, going after who they know. We are bringing the heat. We're going to make dealing in narcotics, fentanyl, the #1 killer, 18 to 45, a Class A felony. And then we're going to take it solutions to that.
Sammy, just to confirm, so you think it'd be better for our society if men and women in law enforcement had more influence on our children in the public schools than drag queens? 100%. Okay, this question's for you, Dave. And you answered a little bit of this earlier, so you can expand however you like. So, how many current justices are in our Washington State Supreme Court? How many were appointed by Jay Inslee? How often does a Supreme Court position in Washington State come up? Send me next questions for you. You have 2 minutes. How do we turn around our economy in Washington State? And where do you make cuts in the current budget?
Yeah, I'll try to be quick on that one too. We start on day 1 with a third-party audit of all state programs and all state offices. We know where the money's going, so we have the highest liquor tax in the nation. We've had a gas tax for decades. Have you seen the roads lately, right? We have a marijuana tax. We have a gambling tax. We need to know where the money's going. So my job, I'm a behavioral scientist, but I don't do clinical, I do organizational psychology. So my occupation is a business consultant. Corporations hire me to come in, whether it's aerospace, whether it's universities, or hospitals, urban and rural. I come in and I do things like Lean or Six Sigma methodology. I find where the waste is and I remove the waste, or I measure performance. I bring strategy. I do strategic analysis. So I have the knowledge, skills, and abilities. So the assessment that we're going to do is finding where the money is. It's finding out how these programs are functioning. We pay people billions of dollars to stay poor for generations, instead of bringing trades and bringing certifications to raise them up out of poverty and despair and break that generational poverty and create jobs. So that's what we need to do, is find out how we're performing. Billions of dollars. Jay Inslee doubled the budget in 10 years to $71.5 billion. We have a homelessness program. Homelessness, they said, is up 10%. I said 23% or 25%. It's 23% year over year. We're paying billions of dollars for what when it continues to go this? We are funding habitual addiction and mental illness. That is the root cause of homelessness in Washington State, not housing. And when we're talking about housing, we're talking about these energy codes that they've raised so high, they doubled the cost of building a house or building an apartment unit, and that's why housing is unaffordable. And so there's so many things we need to do, but it has to start with understanding how our government is performing and functioning and bringing strategic accountability and transparency. That is what I do for a living, and that is what I will do as your governor when I go to work to serve you as the customer.
Now we stand up and accurately represent a majority voice, zero interest in personal power for themselves, but understanding servant leadership, have their heart completely positioned in a place of serving. It's beautiful. So this question is for each of you, it's the same. 1 minute to be able to remind everyone what you would do to earn their vote, and to be able to also give somebody some encouragement as to what they can do as a point of action to go out and make a difference. And please include your thoughts on legal ballot harvesting. What's your thoughts about that?
Well, I can't give an opinion on legal ballot harvesting because it's not I don't know if it's going to come before the court or not. But so I operate by 2 rules. Love the freedom of others as much or more as you love your own is rule 1. Rule 2, it's more important to do right than it is to be right.
Right. Yeah.
And that drives everything that I do, regardless of the context that I'm in, whether it's my personal life, my life on the bench, those type of things. I wish I could say that there needs to be some call to action for the judiciary. I think what needs to happen is we need to change the way that we elect judges, because it's right now, the way it is, the people in power, it's in their interest to keep it so you don't understand it. And we got to change that. But that is probably the call to action. When it comes to my role, again, I go back to that responsibility, is to when something comes before the court, what I guarantee I'm going to do is follow my oath, and it's going to make sense. Common sense shouldn't be uncommon.
3 years ago, my life changed. I was working out in my buddy's garage, complaining about attorneys doing nothing to stand for our rights. And then I had the thought in my mind, you're an attorney, what are you doing? That's the question I want to flip on each one of you, except not that you're an attorney part. What are you doing? You're here tonight. Great. It's been a great atmosphere, I appreciate it. But what are you doing to improve your community? What are you doing to improve your state? You want me to talk about ballot harvesting? You own a business? You go to church? You go to a gun range? You go to anywhere that's safe and secure? Do you talk to people in the stores? I got my buddy up in Spokane who's like, man, all I do is, beat people up, not physically, but, with words, telling them about how important this election is. All I do is talk, talk, talk. Are you doing that? If you're not, we need you. We need you. We'll put our necks on the line. We need you to get our 6. Go do something.
So I think it's encouraging how under fire we are, because if the situation was hopeless, their propaganda and their hate would be completely unnecessary. We are winning. This is not a blue district. This is not a blue state. We're the majority of the state. We're the majority of this country. We've just got to get the word out. So go have those hard conversations. We have a superpower. We can talk about issues the other side can't. That's why all they do is name call and spread propaganda. Get out there, talk about securing the border, talk about balancing the budget, talk about protecting our kids. Those are common sense issues we win on. For ballot harvesting, join our ballot harvesting team. Talk to my campaign manager, Flo's right back there. Go to joekenforcongress.com. Get with all, I saw half this audience right here is PCOs. Go volunteer with a PCO. If you're a PCO in this district, I want to come knock doors with you, so get with Flo and we'll get out there. We can win, we just got to drive out that turnout. Thank you guys.
Well, on April 20th, we made history in Spokane, Washington, when we won 72% supermajority and was endorsed. We did that. And they said that nobody from nowhere with no money cannot win, has has no choice, no chance, no hope of ever winning anything. And in King County, Pierce County, Snohomish County, Clark County, Spokane County, the largest counties in the state, we were rolling, and we were rolling strong. And why? Because we were here, we were there, we were there. We were out engaging with the citizens in the inner city of Seattle. Yesterday I was in King County in Jimi Hendrix Park, thousands of people with permanent tans, like me, and some of you in the audience with a good tan. And they were coming up to me and they were saying, brother, thanks for coming back, because I was there last year and I was there throughout the year, and they remembered, and they were saying, oh, they were talking about President Trump, hear that, and they were talking about common sense. They were talking about common sense. My friends, I'm going to go over for a second. Bear with me, please. Give me grace on this one. But my friends, you cannot give up hope, because common sense goes a long way. Protecting the innocence of our children, bringing public safety to those communities that are at risk, breaking that generational poverty that has been going on, people being subjugated and exploited. We made history. We endorsed the first black candidate for governor of any party in Washington state, not because of equity, not because of public appeal, because of meritocracy, because we
Keep it going, Billy.